Everyone, welcome to Market Insight for the week of August 21st through the 25th. So starting with our monthly chart and the top-down approach, excuse me, we can see that the monthly's been in a solid uptrend over the last 5 months since the lows of March. Let me get a highlighter here. Since the lows of March, we've been going up for 5 straight months. And this is the first down month that we are likely to have in the past total of 6 months here. Obviously, we haven't completed the month yet. There's still 9 trading days left. But the market can move up smartly and close back up around its highs, but that would take quite an effort, I think, on the part of the bulls. And you'll see on the weekly why it's probably unlikely we'll see the monthly close up near the highs. But in any event, this has been a pretty good reaction down here. And this could lead to a deeper reaction, maybe going farther down, closer towards the halfway point from the lows here back in, what was it, July of 22, excuse me, back up. We may have a reaction that comes down a little bit deeper. Or we might just go into a trading range up in here and hold. We don't know yet, right? What that might be and how this might unfold, but we can start to be aware of the possibilities and what that might look like if it were to show up on the lower time frames of the weekly and the daily. So then we can make judgments about the coming week and each day of the week, all informed by the higher time frame. And the higher time frame really reflecting the larger forces at work in the market. So just be aware that we're having a larger reaction and this could go on for a while. Just to note that, okay? And on a positive note on the monthly, it's not all negative. We're not drawing out, at least at this point, we're not drawing out a ton of supply. So far, this looks more normal than not. And so we'll just continue to watch it. Let's take a look at the weekly chart here. Move this, come on. Okay, the weekly. As we can see on the weekly, buying came in towards the end of the week, to some degree anyway, and held that late June low over here. Now, the key question for next week is, can it hold these lows and try to rally up, or is price going to falter down here and then we go down lower? Note that the August high at 43.27 and a half, the August 2022 high, is just a little bit lower here. So that's a next, if we go down a little bit lower, the next logical support, and it should be strong, is at that level, at the August highs level. So the break of the demand line here on the weekly, the widespread down, and the pickup in volume, or the sustained volume anyway, all indicate the presence of sellers. Should price hold and this week's lows and start to rally up, note the area around 4,500. We've got a demand line coming in here, the underside of a demand line, and the support level, resistance line here, causing a confluence of resistance. So price would at least encounter some difficulty, if not halt, any kind of a daily move up into this area. So it's worthwhile noting this area. Let's take a look at the daily. So the daily gives us a pretty clear picture about what likely lies ahead. Just to tape read quickly, on Monday we start off trying to rally back up above the 4,500, 44.98 level here that got broken. but it did so on light volume, on no demand volume. And then the next day goes into the supply line that's being created here on Tuesday and fails to be able to rally above that, fails to hold Monday's high, and we start coming down on an increase in volume. And so supply comes in here and it continues all the way down until Friday, when we finally just really, the supply did not abate until Friday when we see buyers stepping in. We see similar volume as Thursday coming down, and we come into support and we see a firm close off of lows here. So we undershot the demand line here, which is, or an overshot it, if you will. We went underneath of it and got oversold down here. That intersected with the, or this intersects with the support line off of the June lows, and a confluence of trend lines providing a higher level of support than either one alone. And so this makes support for the next week fairly straightforward, right? And we can identify support for the next week. First, Friday's low. Yeah, and then from there, it's the August 2022 high at 43.27. So resistance also is in two spots. We have a small confluence of lines here at around 44.59, 44.60 area, with the supply line intersecting with this crisscross area, right? Support here, then resistance here, a little crisscross area. So that's likely to provide some resistance as going up. And then if we go higher, the 4,500 area, just a little bit higher, which we just discussed on the weekly, it had weekly confluence characteristics between the supply line on the weekly and a resistance line on the weekly. And that should pose pretty strong resistance. We have been in a monthly uptrend, however, so there may be more strength than I'm seeing. And if we break the 4,500 line, then the next resistance is going to be in the pocket up here around 45.53, 45.55 area, somewhere around there. So over the next weeks, we'll observe how the market negotiates all these different levels, and that will give us a clue about the bullishness of the market and whether we're going to rally, go up, back up to the highs, maybe make new highs, or go into a trading range, or possibly go lower. That's why these levels, not just targets for our trading on the intraday, but also gives us a sense of, can the market get over the top of it or not, over the top of the resistance? If not, then we can expect some supply coming in. So we'll watch that. Now let's take a look at the major indices. Excuse me. All of them held significant support on Friday. And all three have that climactic run look to them, you know, straight down, pretty much straight down. You can see how the angle of the ascent, especially on the Dow, becomes straight down. We could draw the angle in on the other two as well, but you can see it, I think. In any event, the angle becomes steep. The spreads widen on all three markets compared to what they were coming down earlier. And that's likely, and all of them got oversold at support. So that's likely climactic. The Dow, by the way, went lower than what we expected. It went to the April high rather than the, the June high. We were looking for this area to hold along with the other markets, but that didn't occur. But it's support nevertheless, and it held its April high. So it's still positive here. Now we'll watch. So we're anticipating a rally, and we'll watch the character of this rally on all three markets if we get it, and see how far it goes. All right, so that's pretty much for the markets this week. Now, on Monday, we'll be meeting at 4:30 p.m. Helen will have sent out a link And we're going to be discussing the 8th chapter of David's book. This is on chart studies, including some really interesting studies that he did, and including a couple of favorite trade setups that he details in this. So very useful chapter. And then on Thursday, we are in our normal schedule, and that is wrong. That date should be the 24th, not the 17th. Sorry about that. So that should be, let's see if I can do this quickly. Yeah, not the 17th, but the 24th at our normal time of 8 p.m. Eastern time. And Monday's meeting is at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I will see you then. Have a great rest of the weekend and see you Monday. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.